Sorry, I'm a little sluggish today. See, Katie and I went to a concert last night, and it was a lot of fun, but boy, did it come at a cost. I mean, if you've ever been to a concert, you know how much it costs. You got to get the tickets, then you got to pay all those service fees and pay for parking, and then, you're going to get hungry, so you pay for an $8 hot dog and a $12 soda, and you can't leave without getting that $40 t-shirt. But it's not just a financial cost. For us older folks, there's a physical cost too. I'm pretty sore today, and not to even mention the permanent hearing loss I probably caused myself. But like all good things, concerts come with a price. They come at a cost. And Lent is a time where we're reminded that our salvation is no different. You see, our salvation cost Jesus his life. But not only that, it was also cost him a tremendous amount of physical pain. I suggest you go back and read the Gospel of John, chapters 18 and 19. Our scripture today comes from there, and it's just a snapshot of Jesus' trial and crucifixion and what that was really like and what the actual cost of our salvation was. Let's take a look. Inside, the high priest began asking Jesus about his followers and what he had been teaching them. Jesus replied, "Everyone knows what I teach. I have preached regularly in the synagogues and the temple where the people gather. I have not spoken in secret. Why are you asking me this question? Ask those who heard me. They know what I said." Then one of the temple guards standing nearby slapped Jesus across the face. "Is that the way to answer the high priest?" he demanded. Jesus replied, "If I said anything wrong, you must prove it. But if I'm speaking the truth, why are you beating me?" Then Ananias bound Jesus and sent him to Caiaphas, the high priest. Then Pilate had Jesus flogged with a lead-tipped whip. The soldiers wove a crown of thorns and put it on his head, and they put a purple robe on him. "Hail, King of the Jews!" they mocked as they slapped him across the face. Pilate went outside again and said to the people, "I am going to bring him out to you now, but understand clearly that I find him not guilty." Then Jesus came out wearing the crown of thorns and the purple robe, and Pilate said, "Look, here is the man." When they saw him, the leading priests and temple guards began shouting, "Crucify him! Crucify him!" Carrying the cross by himself, he went to the place called Place of the Skull, in Hebrew, Golgotha. There they nailed him to the cross. 2 others were crucified with him, one on either side, with Jesus between them. And Pilate posted a sign on the cross that read, "Jesus of Nazareth, the King of the Jews." When Jesus had tasted it, he said, "It is finished." Then he bowed his head and gave up his spirit. It was the day of preparation, and the Jewish leaders didn't want the bodies hanging there the next day, which was the Sabbath, and a very special Sabbath because it was Passover week. So they asked Pilate to hasten their deaths by ordering that their legs be broken. Then their bodies could be taken down. So the soldiers came and broke the legs of the 2 men crucified with Jesus. But when they came to Jesus, they saw that he was already dead, so they didn't break his legs. Afterward, Joseph of Arimathea, who had been a secret disciple of Jesus, because he feared the Jewish leaders, asked Pilate for permission to take down Jesus' body. When Pilate gave permission, Joseph came and took the body away. With him came Nicodemus, the man who had come to Jesus at night, and he brought about 75 pounds of perfumed ointment made from myrrh and aloes. Following Jewish burial custom, they wrapped Jesus' body with the spices in long sheets of linen cloth. The place of crucifixion was near a garden, where there was a new tomb, never used before. And so, because it was the day of preparation for the Jewish Passover, and since the tomb was close at hand, they laid Jesus there. As you can see, Jesus' trial was brutal. It was unjust and barbaric. He wasn't just killed, but he was ridiculed, mocked, physically beaten. This shows us just how serious sin is. It's so destructive. It's devastating and distancing to God, so much so that he was willing to endure these things to free us from its grasp. It also shows that no matter what we go through, Jesus can understand us. Jesus knows about suffering, and he understands our suffering, which makes him not only a wonderful counselor, but for us also a great role model. That doesn't mean that following Jesus means we get physically beaten or killed, although historically that has often been the case. No, Jesus showed us what it means to truly surrender to God's will. Jesus didn't suffer because he wanted to suffer. He didn't want to die, but he knew it was the Father's will, and he knew that it would be used to bring good to all of God's people, that ultimately it was the thing that would save us, allow us to finally come to the Father and know him as Jesus did. See, when we suffer, when we hurt, when we are in pain, our God not only comforts us, but he will actively, through the Spirit, provide us peace and guidance, even when hope seems lost. And at the end of our reading today, we see Jesus buried, and the hopes of all his disciples was buried with him. They thought the hope they had long held with Jesus was now gone. But of course, we know that's not the end of the story. It doesn't end there. And so next week, we will celebrate the hope that still lifts us all up today, the resurrection. But until then, ask yourself these questions. How have you confused the cost of following Jesus with striving to earn his love, acceptance, or even through good works? What would surrender look like in your life? How did Jesus surrender? Since Jesus would never call us to do something that he didn't first do, what does this tell you about his character and trustworthiness when he asks us to surrender our will? What does Jesus' brutal trial and torture tell you about Jesus' ability to understand suffering? How have you not taken sin seriously? How have you taken what Jesus did on the cross for granted? How has hope been lost at times in your life? How did you hang on? What hope do we have no matter what happens? And how can we be sure of it when we are in the dark? Again, read John chapters 18 and 19 and reflect this week in this Lenten season on what Jesus has done for us, what it cost him, and what it costs us to follow his example. I'll see you next week. I need to get a heating pad. Oh.